Many thanks for clicking on to outtheraces.com as we look forward to the 2013 Cheltenham Festival and the feature race of the week, the Betfred Cheltenham Gold Cup. Alongside me to have a look at the key contenders, we have Mick Fitzgerald. Mick, 14 festival wins to your name, and of course 1999, a Magic Era champion chase and a Gold Cup.
Yeah, it's one I'll never forget, and I think it was my boyhood dream to win a Gold Cup. And I think there's lots of young jockeys out there, and it will be theirs, because there is, for me, no bigger prize than to win the Gold Cup at Cheltenham. And
of course, we've seen some great battles in recent years. Kauto Star, Denman, Imperial Commander. Two of those big three now retired, so it's maybe the year of the young guns to come through. Let's have a look at the best prices for this year's renewal. Bobsworth is the 3-1 market leader. Sur de Champs for Ireland at 9-2. Silviniaco Conti for Paul Nicholls at 5-1. Long Run, the winner in 2011, 7-1. It's 14-1 bar those. So Long Run did win it a couple of years ago. He, of course, is trained by Nicky Henderson, who also fields the 3-1 market leader, Bobsworth.
He missed a prep race, but then the ground was so bad at the time, and that's been the struggle with this winter. It is that we've been in soft ground since October, and very soft ground through November, December, January, February. It's been ridiculous. Well, I mean, now we've at least had 3 dry days, but even that's not drying it out very quickly. He's a good horse. I mean, he's proved he's a good horse. He hasn't proven himself. He's proven he's a grade 1 at novice, but not in this league. But I think it's a very open year.
Long Run, I mean, never been out the first 3 in his 23 starts. That's an incredible feat on its own. He's won it 2 years ago, 3rd last year. Is he as good as you've ever had him going into this, Nicky?
I think we're happy. Yeah, I mean, at least he came back and won the King George. I mean, admitted it was a bit of an untidy one, but, you know, he won it, and he likes Cheltenham. I think he was a bit flat last year. I don't think he ever sort of really bloomed. I can't tell you that he's miles better this year, but I think he is better.
So 2 contenders for Nicky Henderson, Bobsworth and Long Run. Long Run, Mick, I want to knock out the 3, but I keep looking at his form and his overall record, and it's awfully hard to do so. He's never been out the 3.
No, he hasn't, and I think you dismissed this horse at your peril. I really think Sam has found a key to him as well. It was interesting. I had a good chat with Sam recently, and you know, we were discussing things, and we actually watched a couple of the races with him as well. And for me, I think this horse he's one, if you disappoint him, you struggle to get him going then. I think you'll see this horse ridden a lot more prominently, a bit more aggressively. If he takes him to the front, he'll let him stay there. And I think then he's going to be a very hard horse to get past, as he proved in the King George. Because in the King George, Captain Chris flew by him at the last with that big jump, and yet this horse grounded out. And there's no doubting his stamina. That's been proven. He's a winner at the Cheltenham Festival because he's won a Gold Cup. He also ran very well in the race last year when, you know, as Nicky said, he just didn't seem to be at his very best last year. It was all very laboured for me. And, I just think that this horse, he's not the forgotten horse of the field, but he's one that people have put to the back of the pile.
And if he does wear cheek pieces, which has been rumoured, would that help him in his cause?
I think there's no doubt about it. I think it'll just help Sam. It may not help the horse that much, but I think it'll help Sam, because he'll be easier to place in the race. He'll take him into the obstacles better. And, you know, as a jockey, when you ride down to those fences at Cheltenham, if you've got a horse that can quicken in on a stride, you can make ground. But if you're all the time getting in deep and losing ground, it's not going to suit anybody, and you always find 1 or 2 nippier ones getting past you. You lose your position. Very hard to get that position back, because no jockey is going to say, right, okay, come on, you can come by me here. Once you're there, it's very hard to get back into a prominent position.
Well, Long Run has got winning form at the festival, but he's also got plenty of form when he's been beaten around Cheltenham. One horse who's 4 from 4 at the track and is the current favourite is the Hennessy winner, Bobsworth.
Yeah, well, this horse is there is no escaping horses that have been to the festival and got those winning rosettes for me. They do it year after year. They just revel in the pace that the races are run at. And you can't get away from that, because sometimes when you ride horses that are good horses, they get to Cheltenham and they're lost and they feel very ordinary. The same can't be said of Bobsworth, because when he gets to the festival, he seems to come alive and he travels with ease. Whereas you see him a few times and he looks to be, it's hard work for him. But at the festival, you can never once say he's looked in trouble. because in the RSA he travelled with ease, he jumped brilliantly, and the same when he won the Albert Bartlett. He was running away in the Albert Bartlett. So for me, this horse has got everything that you need in a Gold Cup horse.
The fact he's missed his prep run, he had a trackier watch that which wasn't 100%. We've not seen him since November. They could be two negatives.
No, not as far as I'm concerned, because he's trained by a man, Nicky Henderson. He's had 46 Cheltenham Festival winners, and some of those have been first-time out winners. He won a champion hurdle with CU then, who hadn't had a run. If you've got a horse that's good enough, you've got a man who's proven to get them right on the big day. And I wasn't surprised to see this horse not run prior to this, because he's a light-framed horse, and Nicky knew if he ran him in bad ground, it would bottom him. And he didn't want to bottom him. He'd rather go in there with a fresher horse.
And he worked quite well recently at Kempton as well, Bobsworth. Well, one man who's got a good record in the Gold Cup in recent years is Paul Nicholls, and his contender this year is Silviniaco Conti.
He's won, his last 4 chases, 3 from 3 this year. Charlie Hall, a Betfair chase, and the Betfair Denman chase at Newbury. Great Gold Cup trials, really. You think Coulthard Denman won all those type of races. Keeps winning. He's not flashy. We're thinking we've got a great chance. And if you go back to the Feltham last year, when Grand Cru was in the form of his life, he was first, Silviniaco Conti was second, and Bob's was third. So we've beaten him already. He's the one I think we've probably got to beat. And Sir de Champ, I think those 3 novices from last year are good horses and might come to the fore. Obviously, in any Gold Cup, you've got to respect everything that runs, and long runs, obviously. He's lurking there. He's won the Gold Cup before in 2 King Georges, so he's a high-class horse. So, yeah, it's got an open feel about it. We're not going into the race thinking we're going to win. We're thinking we've got a chance of winning, which probably everybody does. But we think we've got a chance, and we're looking forward to it.
Well, he won the Aon last time out, and as Paul said, Mickey's done absolutely. It's been everything that's been asked this year. He's won a Betfair and he's won a Charlie Hall.
Yeah, and I think as well he was the beneficiary of a great ride by Ruby when he bossed that race and he won up at Haydock, and he beat Long Run and beat him fair and square as well. But I just think Ruby rode a very canny race that day to suit his horse. And the worry would be for me, when you see this horse in the flesh, there's not that much of him, and you wonder, is he able to withstand that many top-class races in a season? His form in the past suggests maybe not. And that would be the only concern for me with this fella. He was very good when he won at Aintree. And I just think that he is a Gold Cup horse, this fella, but I'm not sure that this is his year.
I almost thought that maybe that was his Gold Cup last time out. But one thing that I do like about him is the way he jumps. The way he jumped around Newbury was immaculate.
Yeah, and that's what you need. You need a horse that skips around Cheltenham. I've spoken to you before about the fact that a horse needs to travel into a race. Well, that's what this horse does beautifully. And if Ruby is able to sit there and give him a squeeze and make a length, he can then sit and fill him up. And that's what it's all about. You get a horse able to do that around Cheltenham, it counts for everything. And
in terms of Cheltenham itself, do you think the track will suit this horse? I know he's ran there over hurdles and finished third, but in terms of chasing ability over the Cheltenham fences on the undulations?
No worries at all. I wouldn't have a slightest bit of concern about that for me.
Well, let's have a look at the Irish form. We've touched on a couple of the English contenders. How about Ireland? Willie Mullins, the champion trainer, he's got Sir de Champ, a horse who came to the festival last year, Mick, unbeaten in 5. He was beaten on his first couple of starts this year, but came good last time, saw off Fleming Star and won the Hennessy.
Yeah, the only concern would be post-race, they said that Fleming Star was suffering from a lung infection, so it knocked the gloss off this a little bit. But I like this horse, and he's very progressive, and the drying ground is a must for this horse. He will jump much better. A lot's been made about his jumping. When we saw him getting beaten very narrowly by Tidal Bay in that titanic race at Leopardstown, he missed a lot of fences on the way around. You can't do that in those top class races. You can get away with it in the Mickey Mouse race, but not running against the best. And for me, when he's able to hear his feet, this fella will jump much better. He was very assured when he won last year in the Juicing. I was really taken with him, and I've thought he will definitely be a better horse with a step up in trip. And again, he's proved that here. He was flying home at the finish in that Leopardstown race. And
he looked as though he needed his first run of the season, but both in the Lexus, which I think we can see again, and also in the Hennessy last time out, staying on strongly at the end. So if anything coming up in distance to the 3 mile 2 has got to suit him. Just look at the way he finishes this race.
Yeah, we've got some Gold Cup contenders here. First Lieutenant is the horse that's circled there in the white cap. And Sir de Champ here, you're wondering, well, he's probably only going to finish third. But just watch how he stays on. You know, Davies had to pull him out as well to go round, And I just think that when conditions are in this horse's favour, he'll be better. And the fact he's been to the festival before, I cannot emphasise this enough. Horses that revel in the rhythm and the pace that these races are run at are horses you've got to stick with, because they're the ones year after year that are in the places or winning these races. He's won a Martin Pipe Conditional Jockey's race, which is a hard race to win, because you've got a lot of young riders in there jostling for position. You need one that travels, able to get you out of jail. He finished very strongly that day when he won, and of course when he won the Juice, and you know, he was a standout really, because he just seemed to breeze around there.
Yeah, real big bull of a horse. That's Sir de Champ, who's yet to win a Gold Cup. One horse who has in the lineup is Imperial Commander. He came back from almost 2 years off the track and put up what was such a heartwarming performance, and just touched off in the closing stages by Cape Tribulation on Trials Day.
Yeah, you have to say to yourself, does that look like Gold Cup winning form? And to me, I'd have to say no. Cape Tribulation is another one that's going to line up in the Gold Cup. He's got winning form at the Cheltenham Festival. We've spoken about how important that is. So he'll go there with at least that in his locker. But for me, I think Imperial Commander, he'll need to improve significantly from that run at Cheltenham, because that was his opportunity to win a big one. And I hope it hasn't passed him by, that opportunity, because he was a very smart horse, and he shattered a lot of people's dreams when he won a Gold Cup there a few years ago.
And I think there was a danger as well that particular day when he came back and was just touched off, that you looked at it and thought, wow. But you go back and look at the form, the ground was bad, a lot of horses in behind just didn't perform.
Yeah, I think that's certainly the case. And for me, I'd be interested in this horse in the Grand National, Imperial Commander, but I think the Gold Cup could possibly have passed him by.
And a couple of the horses to mention: Giant Bolster, second last year, second to Silvinaco Conti, and Katenko for Venetia Williams. She had one own place in this a couple of years ago as well, and this horse being prepared for the Grand National.
Yeah, I think, Katenko could surprise people and certainly finish placed. He's a young progressive type. He's a Grand National horse for me. The other horse is interesting, the Giant Bolster. I think he'll be ridden very aggressively in the Gold Cup, and he turned for home last year with a real live chance, and it'd be a great day for a small trainer like David Bridgewater, because he's done really well with this horse and placed him brilliantly.
And he's a horse who all season David Bridgewater has said the Gold Cup is the target, and his last 2 wins have come at Cheltenham, second in the race last year, so it's all falling into place for him to go back and excel at the track at which he does his very best.
I think there's no doubt about it, and I wish him the best of luck, but I think he might just find 1 or 2 too good for him.
So that's the Giant Bolster. Let's check out the prices once again for this year's Betfred Cheltenham Gold Cup. Bobsworth 3-1, Sir de Champ 9-2, Silvinaco Conti at 5-1, Long Run at 7s, 14 bar those. By this stage, Mick, we may be in all sorts of trouble. We've done our money over 3 days. We get to the feature on the final day. Get us out of the quagmire.
And Nicky Henderson 1-2. Bobsworth to beat Long Run.